Something feels different. So quick little channel update before we get into the video. The month of August is going to be dedicated to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure content. Don't worry, I'm still going to do the One Piece streams when there's a new chapter available. And then starting in September, I'm going to be reviewing Chainsaw Man. Yes, that's official now. You are welcome. Also, don't forget to check out the Gilded community server that we have set up. I post a complete schedule of upcoming videos and streams there, as well as my immediate first reactions to the material I am reading or watching for future reviews. And it could be a place for you to find mutuals who are into the same thing you are. I'm going to leave a pinned comment down below with a link to that if you want to hop on in and say hello. Okay, let's get into the review. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. So I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous going into Stone Ocean. After being a bit let down by Golden Wind and just Araki's tendencies when he's writing female characters in general, I wasn't really sure what we're going to get out of this. Not to mention, this was also going to be my first time reading the manga as opposed to watching the anime. But thankfully, Araki proved me wrong with delivering one of the best parts of JoJo's so far. First off, we have the wacky shenanigans of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and have it taken place in a high-security prison in Florida, the most bizarre of real-world locations. Our new protagonist, Jolyne Kujo, is a well-developed character who is a lot of fun to follow throughout the story and has an interesting relation to the best-known JoJo. We also have one of my favorite supporting casts so far, with every member being unique and having an interesting set of abilities and enough drip to fill an Olympic pool. The main protagonist has a lot of ties to previous parts of the series and a goal that is equal parts admirable and horrifying. Then top it all off with a big bang of an ending, and you have yourself quite a memorable story. So let's dive into all that and more in my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Stone Ocean. Let's talk briefly about the setting of Stone Ocean. As the name might imply, we have ourselves a prison break story. Our new JoJo, Jolyne, gets wrongfully sentenced for a crime she did not do, and is sent to Green Dolphin Prison for a number of years. And while the prison's not as interesting of a place as, say, the small town of Morio, or literally any place of Italy, I did find myself enjoying it quite a lot. There's not a lot of variety in the backdrops because it's a prison, but the number of creative situations we find ourselves in throughout the story is great. Just some examples of this being when Jolyne gets shrunk down and stuffed into the rat corpse so she can sneak into the control room, the time when Jolyne gets put into solitary confinement and has to find a certain MacGuffin to advance the plot, or when the crew drive some hover boats around the marshy area outside the prison trying to evade some guards. I am also thankful that the prison never outstays its welcome. We only really spend about 2/3 of the story there. The last third is spent completely outside of the prison altogether, and even then we got some interesting locations like the Kennedy Space Center. All in all, the prison did a pretty good job of narrowing the focus of the story when it needed it, and then by the time all the pieces were set up and we're ready to really let things play out, that's when we finally get out of the prison and things just get crazy. As the latest of many JoJos, Jolyne had some pretty big shoes to fill, and honestly, I love her. She's a very confident person, but has been wronged by multiple people multiple times in the past. But then one day, the unexpected thing happens. Her estranged father, Jotaro, comes back into the picture. We learn that, unsurprisingly, Jotaro has mostly been absent in her life due to other conflicts involving Dio's minions, or his work as a marine biologist. And tragically, before Jolyne and Jotaro can really have like a heart-to-heart discussion about their differences, they get attacked by an enemy. And as a result of this, Jotaro ends up losing his memories and his Sand Star Platinum. This ends up leaving Jotaro in a bit of a catatonic state, unable to really do anything. So it's up to Jolyne and her friends to find Jotaro's memories, get those back, and restore him back to full health. This is what drives Jolyne to face the unknown threats here at the prison. When the story begins, Jolyne is just as clueless about the crazy world of Sands as really anybody new to JoJo's would be at first. So it's actually a lot of fun watching her navigate the unfair prison system, while also trying to learn more about this new stand ability and also come to grips with the fact that there's other stand users here at the prison. And let's talk about Jolyne's stand, Stone Free. Jolyne is able to turn parts of her body into strings and then control them freely. So while her stand isn't able to punch things as hard as, say, Star Platinum or Crazy Diamond, the number of strategies that are available to use is higher than ever before. It's this trend of very versatile, anything but one note stands that actually makes Part 6 stand out a lot for me. So in all honesty, Stone Ocean's collection of side characters is one of my favorites so far. First up, we got Hermes Costello, who is a fantastic sidekick to Jolyne. She comes into the story already having a little bit of experience in the prison, so she's kind of a mentor for Jolyne, kind of showing her the ways of things and trying to make the stay there a little bit more bearable. And we also learned early on that Hermes is actually in the prison intentionally trying to track down the man that murdered her sister. Hermes has a stand named the Kiss, which is quite fascinating. It is the power to generate stickers that will duplicate the items that you put it on. The stand is used to great effect throughout the story, creating all kinds of chaos in already chaotic situations, oftentimes tricking the enemies to make mistakes that become their ultimate downfall. Then we have Foo Fighters, who is actually a collection of plankton that was given the gift of intelligence and a stand. Foo Fighters, or FF for short, becomes good friends with Jolyne and Hermes after they actually show respect for the intelligence that Foo Fighters has been given. Throughout the story, Foo Fighters is like a curious child who asks too many questions, not to be annoying, but because their desire to understand the world around them is just that great. So imagine how I felt when the big bad of this story does FF quite dirty and abuses the naivety that she has to meet his own final goal. And can I just say, Foo Fighters' death in this, it's probably the best executed death of a character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure so far. I actually was very upset when that chapter came around. Father Enrico Pucci is a member of the prison who conducts religious services there. But before all that, he was a devout follower of one Dio Brando. For years, Dio and Pucci actually had this very strong mutual respect for each other in their mutual pursuit of true happiness in heaven. The two of them had this goal in mind. They wanted to mold the world to be at a point where everybody could experience true happiness by already knowing what their ultimate fates are going to end up being. However, after the Stardust Crusaders defeated Dio, Pucci thought this information was lost, until he realized that the memories of Dio's journal, were still in Jotaro's memory. So Pucci is able to use his stand White Snake to retrieve those memories after he lures Jotaro closer to him. So ultimately, we have Pucci being this mastermind who's trying to find a way to alter the world in his vision so that he can spread happiness to everybody in the world. An admirable thing to do, but the means to that end are a little twisted. Ultimately, what Pucci tries to do is reset the universe. He's not trying to rid the world of all bad things, but he's just trying to spread the knowledge of how everybody's fates are going to end up being, so that they can then live their lives knowing no matter what happens, it's all going to end the same way. And that's where this new stand, Made in Heaven, comes in. This is the ultimate culmination of Dio's plan. By using Made in Heaven, Pucci is able to fast forward time. He's able to speed up time to the point where everything just loops back in around itself. And you know what? I'm not even upset that we have another final boss stand that is a time manipulator. Because even though Made in Heaven didn't get a whole lot of screen time to shine, it's a terrifying power, and it was built up to over the course of many, many chapters. So I feel like it actually is appropriately done here this time around. Because Pucci actually would have 100% succeeded in his plan if it weren't for some meddling kids and the sacrifices they made to allow for one final face-off. So the final chapter of Stone Ocean is one of the most beautiful, bittersweet endings I have ever seen. With all of his friends dead, Emporio is the only one left standing. Pucci only has to take this one kid out, and then he succeeded. He's done it. He's achieved his goal. But Emporio manages to cleverly get Pookie to undo himself and eventually defeat him. And as a result of this, well, without Father Pookie, the world kind of starts to collapse in on itself. As a result, we lose everything. The world, the universe that we knew is gone, and in its place is something different. This alternate universe has a lot of familiar faces in it, but they're not the same people that we came to know and love. It's very bittersweet because it's pretty obvious that these people are now living better lives. Like, they are much happier. They have a lot of the things that they've been wanting, that they've been fighting for. But like I said, they're not the same people that we knew. We had to lose everything to get to this point. Okay, maybe lose is not the correct term, because a very important theme throughout this part is memories and the experiences that we develop over the course of living our lives. So even though the universe was technically lost, we still have our memories. We still have the sadness and the happiness that we got from reading Stone Ocean. So while we are now here in this brand new universe full of infinite possibilities, we can always reflect upon what we have gone through so far and how that has built up our own character to be, to the point where we became the people we are today. There really is so much more that I could still say about Stone Ocean, but I just don't have enough time. Like, I never really got into Anasui and Weather Report's character. There were a couple of incredibly interesting stand battles, like Jailhouse Rock, Bohemian Rhapsody, and a few others. And there were a couple of not so great parts, like the whole thing with the flying tube creatures.
That's a peanut!
So I want you guys to leave a comment down below. Let me know what some of your favorite or least favorite parts of Stone Ocean were. All in all, I have to say, Part 6 surprised me a lot. I don't think I would call it my favorite part of JoJo's yet, but it's pretty high up there. Jolyne was a very standout character for me, and I don't know if she appears in future parts, but I really hope she does, because I'd love to see more of her. Pookie's menacing presence is felt throughout the entire story, and while his goals are, it's questionable how legit they were, I think they're fascinating and interesting motivation for a character. I honestly cannot wait for the Stone Ocean anime to finally come out any day now. While I did enjoy the manga quite a lot, I do think that the anime could enhance a couple of aspects of the story. So in my opinion, Stone Ocean is an underrated part of JoJo's. Like, I don't really see people talk a lot about it. I think a lot of them just try to get through it as quick as they can to get on to part 7. Don't skip part 6. It's worth it. Read it. Or watch it. With that said though, it is time to move on to what comes next. Oh yeah, that is what many consider to be the pinnacle of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Steel Ball Run. So if you don't want to miss my review of part 7, do the YouTube thing, hit that subscribe button, make sure you don't miss out when that review gets uploaded, and yeah, prepare for some horseback riding and cowboy shenanigans next time. Until then though, I have been LootingKyle, and remember, be kind to others and have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.